All right, here we go. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another Crunch Chats here on the Crunch's Twitch stream presented by Burdick Toyota. Hope everyone's having a great night here tonight on a Thursday, trying to stay sane here through all of this this time period. So another fun edition tonight. We've had some good ones so far the last couple of weeks, but this one might take the cake. We've got the coaching staff with us here tonight. Ben Groulx, Gilles Bouchard, Veilleux and Joe Palmer are our guests here on our Crunch Chat here this evening. Everyone, welcome. How's everyone doing? We'll start with Ben. Ben, how are you? Where are you at the moment?
Well, I'm good. Thanks, Lucas. Gilles and I, we drove back on March 18. Canada decided to close the border. And so we decided to come back home. And I'm in Montreal. And I'm with my son. And he's the cook. I clean the dishes. He's cooking. It's pretty good, actually. And nothing's going on like it's like everywhere else. We quarantine ourselves the first 2 weeks, and since then, pretty much inside, walking once a day, and nothing much going on. We try to stay busy. We try to talk to the coaches once in a while. I'm part of a group chat with other coaches, and that's pretty much it.
Staying as busy as, I guess, possible, right? Gilles, we'll go to you next. Where are you, and what's going on with you?
Oh, I'm good. I am in Trois-Rivières, Quebec right now, and I try to keep myself busy. I work out every day. I try to work out every day. I stay active by going for a walk 2 or 3 times a day, and I watch NHL CA conference maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So I try to stay busy a little bit and to stay up to date, to stay in hockey, and I work on my stuff for the next year, and that's it.
Very good, very good. Veilleux, you're next on the list.
Hey, Lucas. Yeah, well, here it's pretty much the same thing, you know. It's probably the same thing for everybody else, but I'm in Victoriaville at my mom's place. We're pretty much going back and forth every night with my sister and nephew, cooking. We're working out pretty much every day. This is actually the workout time. I had to start a little earlier to be on time for this call here. Usually it's cooking time afterward, eating, and then board games, and sometimes it's puzzles. Had a few done lately. Actually, 2 of them, 1,000 pieces, pretty good. with my mom, and actually had a chance to see my 2 sons yesterday and the day before for the first time since coming across. So that was a pretty good feeling as well.
Excellent. What puzzles? What were the pictures on the puzzles?
Actually, the one we're doing now is little hockey players, and there's a nice rink behind it and a big house. And the one before, flowers and there's all types of those in my room. Actually, there's probably 25 of them, and wow. We just finish one once in a while, and then we move on to the next, and depending how we feel, that's
Excellent.
What we do.
No, yeah. Again, keeping busy.
Okay.
And Joe, we'll go with you. Where are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm actually in Ohio right now. Came almost a month ago. Once we had a 2-week quarantine in New York. My wife and I were pretty fortunate. We have a place to come in Ohio, able to escape New York and a little bit of the craziness that's going on there. So just trying to stay active, working out a lot, and fortunately golf courses are still open here, so able to play. It's a little chilly, but go out, play 4 or 5 holes just to kind of get outside and get some fresh air.
Yeah, they shut those down here in New York, unfortunately. And then, of course, it was snowing yesterday and today here, too. So I don't know if it's snowing by any of you guys, but you're missing the snow here at least, which is, I guess, a good thing for all of you.
Well, we had some snow here this morning, but now it's hopefully that was the last one.
Fingers crossed.
But it's still chilly outside, and you got to walk with your toque, your glove, and your winter coat, no doubt about it.
Here on Twitch, you can send your questions in for the coaches, Ben Groulx, Gilles Bouchard, Eric Veilleux, and Joe Palmer in the chat over there to your right. We've got a couple folks saying hello to you, and excited to have you here. I'm sure we'll get some questions here very shortly. But I'm curious, Ben, you said you had some coaches meetings and whatnot. We know players have one set of things they're doing right now, waiting for potential resume of play if it ever comes this season. For coaches, what do you got going on where you're trying to, I guess, stay connected with this season, maybe look towards next season? What's the process like for you guys right now?
Well, like you mentioned, Lukas, there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and what we try to do is to communicate with many people as many times a week as I can. And obviously, there's a lot of hockey people in those phone call, and just try to share about your training camp, about your schedule, obviously about the situation we're all in, about next year, about how to deal with certain situation, your specialty team, your goalies, and what you try to do is to not to find out, because many people are using the same system and all that. It's more, you're more in the how you do things, how do you do things with your coaching staff, how do you communicate with them, how do you communicate with your leadership group, your players, how do you organize your season, and so basically it's very it's informal. It's we try to have topics, different topics all the time, and it's vague. We try to have everybody talking, and there's no yes or right or wrong. It's more about sharing things, and it's been very interesting. And what I get about what coaches are saying, it's they try to everybody's got standard. They try to be effective in what they do. I believe coaching now is very complex. There's so many things involved. There's so many people involved. You have here 4 coaches on this call, Lukas, but as you know, we have a power skating coach, a skill coach, we have a development coach, we have a general manager in Syracuse, a general manager in Tampa Bay, assistant general manager. So there's many people involved, and what I get, it's now more and more complex to get those guys to play in the NHL, and the as complex as it is, I think it's to simplify everything as much as you can to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody understand that where you want to go and how you want to do it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big takeaways that a lot of people are getting out of this is, it's a chance to, not specifically that, but to, like you were, to your point, you're kind of bouncing ideas around. And I know from our front office perspective, we definitely branched out and had done different things. So it is an opportunity to either regroup or learn new things, or at least gather new ideas. And I guess while this is not a great situation for all of us, it's a chance to maybe broaden your vision of things, or at least learn some things moving forward.
It kind of brainstorming with other coaches, and I had the opportunity to be on a group chat with college coaches. It's an environment that I don't know much. Joe was with me on that call, and many interesting young coaches in that group, older guys with more experience, the way they bring things to their team, the way they communicate, the challenges they're facing. So it's very interesting. And every time you finish a phone call, it's always the same reflection you have after. It's like, you know what? It's I can use this, I can use that. Maybe his way to do things better. It's only about try to get more effective, and set your priority and try to get better. And I think it's been very interesting because you always try to find the positive in everything, right? And that word being positive was huge. It's huge for us in Syracuse. And when you look outside here in Montreal, there's no pollution anymore. It's incredible. Like you walk outside, the air is pure. And I see the south shore of Montreal. You see the mountains on the other side, which I never get to see in the past. And this having being on a group chat with so many other coaches, I think those 2 points that would never happen without this. Obviously, nobody wants to be in the situation we're in, but try to get the best as I can out of this.
And for a couple of you guys are parents too, and your sons are playing hockey at a competitive level. So I guess for especially Ben and Gilles, you see it at a different perspective in terms of going through this whole process of, you're a coach going through this, and then you also have, now you're, I guess, either you, like you said, Ben, you're with your son, seeing them go through, the process as a player. So what's it like in the household going through, interactions like that when you're both trying to forge ahead?
Want to go, Gilles?
Yeah, go ahead, Gilles.
Yeah, I am with my son here and my wife, and it's nice to pass time with our family like this. And like you said, I'm a coach, but at the same time, I'm a dad. So I try to help him in the process as a hockey player. But I don't want to do too much. You know what I mean? I think it's you have an agent. You know what you have to do, but I'm here to support him every day, and we'll see at the end.
And I'm curious, just because their seasons obviously have ended, there is a definitive endpoint to that. What's the mental challenge of having their season just ended that quickly, where they were hoping for runs and playoffs and whatnot?
I think there's a lot of frustration on my son's part, no doubt about it. Gilles, same thing. I think his son, they both played on a very good hockey team, and they had a chance at winning the cup. So especially when it's your last year, ending your career like that at the junior level, it's a big disappointment, not only for them, but everyone, especially with like you've been in the league for 4 years, everything you went through, the effort you put in, and it's your last chance to win a championship, and you'll never get to compete for it. So it's not easy. But on the other hand, like you're spending quality time with your family, and here we don't talk about hockey. Like it's more about like try to watch movies together. Tonight we're gonna watch a movie together. That's the plan. Like I don't remember last time we sat down next to each other and watch a movie together. So it's kind of cool to do that, and you reconnect with the people. I've been calling my mom every day. She sold her house on November 1st, and she had to move April 1st.
Oh.
So it was like, how are we going to do this?
What a time.
My mom's 77 years old, and she's in great health. And you know what? My sister, my brother, they did everything for her. They're doing her grocery every day. So it's everybody's got to organize themselves, and I think we see a lot of people. We see a lot of people coming together, helping others, and I think it shows the strength of the people in this situation, and it's very impressive what a lot of people are doing. Very impressive.
Yeah, then you mentioned the movies and whatnot. I know a lot of people have been streaming television, on Netflix and whatnot. Go around here. We'll start with Joe here on the other side. Anything that you've been watching on Netflix, or what's your kind of go-to stuff these days to keep yourself busy besides kind of what we've already heard in terms of keeping in contact with coaches and whatnot?
Well, I think like the rest of the world, watch the Tiger King.
Oh, yeah.
That was very entertaining.
Did she do it?
I'll hold off on that debate.
Fair enough.
Right now. The evidence is pretty strong against her, but you never know how they make those documentaries. They're trying to make for good TV. And Ozark, really big fan of Ozark. It's a great series, and just finished season 3 the other day. So it's what the 2 that I got.
Yeah, I just started the first season, episode 1 yesterday, 2 days ago. So I'm getting into that one. I've heard I've heard a lot of good things about it. So looking forward to that.
I was so impressed with Ozark. Like it's the play of the actors, like Bateman and I don't remember his wife and Ruth. It's amazing. It's amazing. The manipulation in that, and I think they're great. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. Anyone else seen Ozark? Jill or Eric, have you watched that at all?
Yeah, I watched the last season of Casa de Papel. Casa de Papel. And I just started Designer Survivor lately. It's about the USA president, and it's very interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Designated Survivor.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is. Eric, you got anything good going on?
My mom does not have internet, so we're still, we're still waiting for it to be hooked up. But you know what? She's a big hockey fans, and on TV they had last week the old games from the Montreal Canadiens versus the Nordiques, and we watched obviously all of those. My mom, she watched, like during hockey season, she watches a hockey game every single day, and that's the first time she called me once the season was on hold. I think it was like 2 days later. She said to me, "Do you think is it gonna come back? I'm so bored right now, so bored." And it was like 2 days without a hockey game. So that's what we did last week, watching those games on TV and watching a few shows here and there from some French Quebec shows that she used to watch, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, good. Well, it's got to be tough without the internet, though. Hopefully, you do get that up and running.
It's supposed to be coming soon.
Yeah, good. Well, excellent.
I also watch Pablo Escobar.
Oh yeah, was that
series?
Narcos, or just the? Just the straight
the
up
series. Like there's 73 episode of that, and it's I think it's crazy. Like the guy started as a drug dealer, and he finished as a terrorist. So that was pretty good for me. Right now I'm watching Money Heist, like the bank robbery.
Okay.
So it's that's your show, Gilles. La Casa del Papel.
Casa de Papel.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm. I started it yesterday, so we'll see how that plays out.
Excellent. Well, good. I'm glad people are at least keeping busy
Where
somehow.
about you, Lucas? Where are you? Are you in Syracuse or you're home?
Yeah, I'm in Syracuse, staying busy here. I think almost the entire Crunch staff is still in town, so not going to the office or anything. But yeah, we're still in Syracuse. And
how is it in Syracuse right now? I heard that they were moving some patient from one hospital to a Syracuse hospital in Rochester, the area. How is it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we get a lot of patients because we're so centrally located. So a lot of them have come this way. Upstate has sent some of their staff, though, downstate, where obviously in New York City, Long Island has been hit harder. So a lot of those heroic, people in the hospital, all those hospital workers and whatnot are going down there. But we've done a great job. We partnered with a couple of our partners in Tully's Good Times and Copper Top to provide some meals for the healthcare workers at Upstate. So that's coming up next week. We've got a blood drive tomorrow. So we're staying busy trying to keep ourselves engaged in the community. Obviously, that's what we're here for. But so far, it hasn't been terrible here, but obviously we are pretty much on lockdown, alternating days where you can kind of go out. Yeah. It's tough, but it's what we got to do at this point. Hopefully get it squared away, taken care of, and get back to normalcy as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's see. Don't forget, you can send your questions in on the Twitch side if you have any for Ben Groulx, Gilles Bouchard, Eric Veilleux, and Joe Palmer. I'm curious for all of you. We'll start with Ben and go around the room. How and why you all got into coaching? I don't know if you want to how deep you want to go, but what kind of led you down the path to become a hockey coach? Ben, we'll start with you.
Well, very simple for me. Like my dad was in hockey, was a coach, minor hockey coach, and then he ended up a scout at the major junior level, and he took me everywhere with him. Like not everywhere, but he took me a lot in scouting. So and then was born in '68, and the '72 Summit Series. I remember not the game, but I remember myself playing hockey with a mini stick and a tennis ball under my grandfather's desk, and so I was 4 years old, and I could name you, and even to this day I still remember the names of the players on that Russian team, and I think. Being in that hockey environment at a young age, and my dad being a coach, and when I was young, I was going to the junior team in Hull, the Hull Olympics, which I ended up coaching like years later, and I was sitting behind the bench. I was the first guy behind the bench. I was watching the game, but I was watching also the coaches. I was very impressed with the coaches. And back in the 70s in the Quebec League, coaches were stars. Like they were very popular. They were stars, and I think having my dad in coaching and having in that hockey environment and following my dad in scouting trips, I think we had so many discussion about how to coach a team, how to run a team, and I'm sure if he'd be alive, we would still have those discussions about what did you do tonight and all this, but I really miss that part. But it definitely what brought me in hockey, and it's 48 years later after that 72 series, I'm still passionate about what I'm doing, and I think I'm so fortunate to be in Syracuse.
That's awesome. A great story there, for sure. Gilles, how about you?
Not the same path for me, but I grew up on a farm, and my mother and my father was the fans of the Montreal Canadiens, so they were passionate for hockey. I played hockey, and I started to coach in 1998 as assistant coach midget Tripoli. After my degree as a teacher at the university here in Trois-Rivières. And after that, I think in the 2003, was the head coach at midget Tripoli for 8 years. And one day, my older coach, Joe Canale, after the game, talking with me about, you want to be a coach or a teacher? I want to be a coach. Right now, you're more a teacher than a coach. Oh yeah, why? Because you do this, this, and this. You have to manage the player. You have to do this, this. And that day, I understand it's not because I'm a good teacher, I'm a good coach. You know what I mean? And he was an important person for me in my development as a coach. So that was very good. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, that's good to hear. We had heard you had grown up on a farm. Ben, should I ask him about the government shutdown at all, or we'll avoid that today? Eric, what about you? What got you into coaching?
Well, I played major, all my younger days. Started playing at like most of us, 3, 4 years old, playing minor hockey, and then moved up playing junior A. That's when my first junior coach was Bob Hartley. I was 17 years old and had him 2 years junior A, 2 years major junior, and we ended up doing 5 more years after together. And I say together because I used to hate him so much during the hockey season, but we used to work together doing landscaping every single summer. Every single one of them.
How much did he pay you?
I was doing the hard stuff. Where you gonna train? You gotta train. But you know what? Great relationship. And when we were in Hershey, that's when there was 3 of us rooming together. 3 guys from Eric Messier, myself, and Pascal Trepanier. And we were, I don't want to say student of the game, but we used to do video. We had nothing to do in the afternoon, so we used to go with the coaches and do video in the afternoon and watch our PK, what we did. And Bob Hartley was very, very open to new ideas and stuff that we had in mind and what we felt. He felt that we were the ones playing, and he was listening, and it brought us to be more involved. And at 24, 25, I knew while doing that this was something that I was probably hoping to do if once my career was over. And in 2001, I had my first my second herniated disc in my neck. Had to retire, and I think I retired September of 2001. And in October, I started coaching that junior A team that I played for at 17, and it went on to be in with the Crunch. But like Ben said, we're so fortunate to be able to do something we love, something we had a chance to to play for fun. And I haven't seen those guys for a long time together. It's the first time since March 18th, pretty much. And I remember all the fun we had, so it's good. I can't wait for the rest.
Get back to it, right? Oh, cool. It came full circle there on the coaching end. Joe, well, we'll finish with you on that one. What got you into the coaching side of things?
Well, growing up, my dad, he was actually the track and field coach at the school that my sisters and I went to. He was a track and field coach for almost 30 years. So growing up, being around him, seeing the relationships that he developed, with his other coaches, with his athletes, really kind of got me interested. And then being from Syracuse area, I was lucky enough to end up at the U.S. national program. And I got to play for a guy named John Hines, who's now the head coach of the Nashville Predators. And seeing just like the passion that he had, the dedication to the game, how he saw the game, just more than, obviously us as young kids go out and see and play. He was really somebody that I idolized, and I kind of knew that once I was done playing that I wanted to, get into coaching and be able to, have an impact on someone's life and career and to be able to build those type of relationships that, I saw guys like John Hines do. And lucky enough, when I was done playing, a couple of years later, I ended up at Cornell and, working for a coach like Mike Schaefer, who's been there now for 27 years, and, running a program like that. And just seeing the culture and everything like that he's developed, and learning a lot from him. It was, you know, it was just knew it was something that I really wanted to stick with, and, you know, lucky enough to join these three guys this year. So learn a lot from them.
A fun group for sure.
Joel speaks French now.
Oh, how about that?
Hey, Lucas, if you don't mind, I'll share you a story
Oh, please do.
about my first pro game I coached.
Uh-oh.
Like after my junior major hockey career, I went to Europe and I ended up playing in France for 10 years. And I'm 23 or 24 years old, and I'm playing just outside Paris in a small budget team. And half of the team is our student, and half of the team is pro. So we're all day at the rink, and things are not going well. Ownership's not happy, and they decided to get rid of the head coach and two older guys. And they called me upstairs in their office, and the rumor is that they want to save money, and they're making cuts. And so I'm getting upstairs. I'm getting nervous, and they told me, we'd like you to be player coach for the rest of the season. I'm 23, 24 years old, and there's more than one player coach in Europe. It's kind of a trend there. And back then, I'm talking here in the 90s. And so I'm like, well, I can't do that. So, well, if you don't want to be player coach, you're fired. So I took the job.
I could do it. I
I took the job. And our first game, we're going on the road. And we have like we have no expectation for this team, but we're getting killed like 8-0, 7-1. And I'm like, okay, so now I'm a player. We have nobody on the bench. We're going on the road, and we're playing a team like Angers. It's a Saturday night. Angers is 3 hours away from Paris. The game's at 6, and I know there is a party organized in Paris, and players got to be there by midnight. Okay? So, and on our way to Angers, everybody's talking about the party, and I'm like, oh, it's not going to go well. So long story short, after 2 periods, we're up 3-1. So everybody's excited, but we end up losing the game 8-3. So after that game, and after that disaster in the 3rd period, we stop for dinner, and we're in Angers, and we park the bus on a boulevard. And I said, no, I'm not going out. Everybody's out for the meal. I'm pouting, sitting in my seat on the bus. And I don't know if my buddy, I was friend with a Swedish player on the team, my best friend. And I don't know if we were texting back then or whatever it was. Like, I think we talked, and he said, let's go, let's grab a coffee. So I got off the bus. And as I tried to cross the boulevard, got hit by a car. Like, got hit by a car. I went in the air, roll on the pavement, and so I'm there. Like, I think I'm dead. Like, not dead, but I have I think I have my leg broken. So I'm sitting on the side, and I'm gonna pass out. My buddy slapped me in the face like this. So I didn't pass out. I end up at the hospital, and at the hospital they told me that I had my mon talon d'Achille, Rick. You got to be a translator here.
God,
It's like my ankle, not broken, but it was in a bad shape.
Sprained ankle.
More than that, I was in a cast for 2 months. But I'm at the hospital, and the French guys on the team, the French players, they're like, okay, so now you got hit by a car. You're the new coach. And because of you, if you don't hurry up, we're going to miss our party. So that's how it started. I was crying. I was newly married. So I called my wife. I'm like, I got hit by a car. She started crying and all that. And the players are like, hey, hurry up. Let's go. We got to be there. So that was my first my first game as a pro coach. And then I started coaching with my crutches behind the bench. My season was over, but I had my crutches, and I coached the rest of the season behind the bench. So
that could only happen to you.
Always, only me. Always.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Hey, but now I'm laughing about it, but I tell you something. The doctor told me, so I don't know where you were exactly, but if you move a little bit, if you're a little bit further, you're probably like, and it was a hit and run. They didn't stop.
Yeesh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Didn't like my coaching.
This guy, get rid of him.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll ask anyone else. Does anyone else have a fun story like that from anything? Not well. I mean, I don't think anything will be as good as that. Nothing can top that. But anything close to it?
Come on, Joel, it's your turn.
Joel.
I got a good story from training camp this year.
Oh boy.
So it wasn't the first day of training camp, but it was the first day that we had the practice in front of the fans at Amalie Arena. And, you know, it's all these guys are going out there, and NHL stars, and Coop's running practice. And he comes over to me before practice, and he's like, hey, Joe, you know, I really need you to do something for me today. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm like, Coop, whatever you need. And he goes, yeah, the ice is pretty crappy out here today. So any chance you get to shovel, just make sure you go around and just make sure the ice is cleaned up and there's no extra snow around.
Oh, I get it.
I'm like, whatever you need. And so that was the start of the year.
The start of the year. There you go. Eric, Gilles, any good ones on your end? No? Oh, come on.
Come on, Gilles, you're not that boring.
Sorry, right now.
Rick, you got to have a good one.
Well,
remember the year you ran my goalie in the playoff? That could be a good one for you. Remember we didn't shake hands?
Oh, no.
Ben's a baby. No one knows.
What happened?
Actually, we're playing the year. Was Giroux there? Yeah, that's the year they had Giroux.
208.
And you know what? We were last place, or around there. We had just made the playoffs by 2 points. We're playing them. They have Giroux and Byron and all those guys, and we're very young and just okay, to be honest.
Wow.
And
yeah, he had no team, but he made the playoff. Good coaching. Keep going.
That must be that. So, anyways, I can't remember, you know, what was the series at. I'm not sure if it was 2-1, and we were
3-1.
3-1. No.
2-1.
2-1. It was 2-1, and honestly, our PK forecheck was from left to right. But their goaltender used to go out and come out and play the puck very well all the time. And for some reason, one of our player, decided, well, the goalie was there playing the puck outside of his net, and the player just did his route left to right, but the goalie,
the red line.
The goalie happened to be there. Hey, that's what you preach, Ben. Pressure up the ice. Pressure up the ice. You got to disturb. So our player, not decided, accidentally hit the goalie, and it's a pretty big hit. And anyway, so he's mad and he's yelling and blah blah blah, and we're yelling at each other from one bench to another. So the series, you know, they won that game and probably won another one after. And you know, after every series, you know, usually coaches shake hands, the players shake hands, but I step on the ice and I'm looking at him So sometimes the coaches, they just coach or shake the coach's hand, and sometimes they shake the whole team. So I stepped on the ice, and then I saw him just telling me he wasn't going to come. So I just pretended I wasn't looking, and I kept going and, behind the line with the players and shook everybody else's line or hand. But and then after, I think they had won the cup that year, right?
Yes.
And I remember telling him something like wishing him good luck before the Memorial Cup. And we were talking about the message.
He sent me an email after we won our cup and we're the Mem Cup. And when I got the email, he started the email saying like, Benny, congratulations on winning the cup. You beep, 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 beep. Can't wait to see you at the draft. Congratulations. Good luck. Beep, 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 beep. So made me laugh so much, I forgive him.
Oh, that's good. Well played.
And it wasn't me, by the way.
No. We still have that debate. And the guy who ran my goalie, I got him in a trade the following year.
Figure that one out.
I asked him. I said, hey, was that from the coach? I'll keep the answer for me.
But good. Where I played junior, I played in Laval, where they called it the House of Pain and stuff like that. And like I said, Hartley, who I said I hated, but honestly, he was the best coach I had. I had him for 9 seasons, very smart. And in that barn in Laval, weird stuff used to happen, like brawls in the stands and with the players, brawls in warm-up, brawls before coaches fighting. Obviously, it's the older days, but that incident, I was from there, played junior there, played for Hartley for 9 years in a row.
For you, right?
So I didn't have anything going for me. Everything went against me.
Joe, if our goalie got run over from a guy from the red line, what do you think? Is it from the coach?
Depends on which team we're playing.
If we're on the PK, for sure not.
Oh boy. Well, on that topic, someone just chimed in and wants us to get an answer from you, Eric, about if you were happy when Ben took the job in Rochester to get out of the queue, and then when he came back to the queue, what was the reaction when he returned?
Well, happy for him. Every time you're in the league and you see a coach moving on and having a chance to go coach pro, for us that are still there in that league, it gives us sort of a little boost. It encourages us to keep going and to maybe hopefully one day get that chance. And became good friends with Ben. Spoke once in a while. During seasons, even though we were coaching against each other. And, but to be honest, once he was there in Rochester, we kept talking maybe a little bit, but not as much. And, you don't know what happened. And when he came back, obviously it's like, you don't know. So it's not a matter of being happy that he's back or not. It's more happy that he had a chance to sign a contract and have a chance to coach pro. And there's never enough good coaches in the league. And we all know that there's so many coaches coaching everywhere, and NCAA and major, junior, and having a chance to to coach at the pro level is very something special. So.
And you know what, Lucas? Rivalry most of them are created in the playoff. And as much as everybody's competitive and you can't literally hate someone during a playoff series because the guy's a good coach and he's doing everything he can to disturb your team, play with your head and all that. So, but I think every coach understands that when it's over, like we're all do the same thing, and I think the coaches in in any league. They understand the challenges, and it's a big fraternity, and we're going through the same thing, but only in different cities. So I think it's a pretty the coaches fraternity is a pretty tight group.
No doubt about that. Another question we've got here is for Joe. Want to know, the big differences between coaching and being involved at the NCAA level versus, now at the pro level. What kind of stands out to you as the big differences from those two?
Well, I guess the overall structure of it all. In college, you're involved pretty much right from the get-go. You recruit kids sometimes for 1, 2, you might be recruiting a kid for 3 years. You start watching them at 16, 17, and then he's coming in as a freshman at 20 years old. And then that's a player that you're going to build your program around or be involved with for the next 4 years. So right off the bat, it's very different structurally, whereas, we might have a player for a month that we know very little about, maybe seen play, a very limited amount. So right off the bat, there's that different level, I guess, of time spent at the rink. College, especially coming from Cornell, players don't have as much time, to be at the rink with classes and everything like that, and worried about, some other things outside of hockey, where at the pro level, like, that's their job. They show up each day. Like Ben mentioned earlier, we have a bunch of different coaches, and then our strength coach and everything like that they'll spend time with. In college, it's really just kind of the 3 main coaches. You have your strength and conditioning coach, but he might also be the strength and conditioning coach for soccer and for football. And then on the ice, you really have your 2 assistants and your head coach, and sometimes a volunteer. So it's, the dedication from the players and the desire and the commitment to get to the next level, whether that might be, in college, it could be ECHL, it could be just to make it to the AHL. I mean, there's players that they know as soon as they graduate, they're moving on to, med school, or they're going to go get their MBA. In Syracuse, all of those guys are driven. They want to make it to the NHL. And they all have those aspirations, and, we got to find a way to get them there. So it's, there's a lot of similarities, but you could go on and on about the differences.
Sure. It's fun, I'm sure, to get your feet involved in both of them at one point here, which is pretty neat. Gilles, somebody, you mentioned a farm. Somebody wants to know what was grown on the farm. What was the Mig export, if there was one, on the farm when you were growing up?
Just what? About what? I'm not sure about it.
What were you like? What was grown on the farm? Were you selling it and stuff, or was it just kind of a house farm for you guys? And if there was, what was maybe the big crop that you had?
That was a farm for, we had, I think, 45 cow. How you say that?
Yep.
That was a milk for the milk farm, and we sold. I think my father, we sell in 1982. I had 10 years old in that time, but that was a good experience for me to grow up on the farm. Because it's a lot of work. You wake up early in the morning. You have at 6 o'clock. You start to work with your father, and it's a lot of things like this all day long. So it's good. I think it's good for to know as a person to what you have to do to grow up, and it's a good experience.
All right, we'll go around the room again. Who is the best player you've had a chance to coach at any level, at any point in your careers? We'll start with you, Ben.
Well, in junior hockey, no doubt in my mind, Claude Giroux. The guy came in at 17 years old, and for a rookie, it's not easy to win the confidence of his. It's not easy to win the confidence of your coach, but it's not easy to do it early in the season. I remember the third game of the year that year where short-handed 2 men. The game's on the line. We're at home, and I put him out there, and we didn't discuss that at all on the pre-scout before the game, like the 3-on-5, and they end up pulling their goalie, so they were 6-on-3, and I put him out there as a rookie, third game in the league, because I thought he would find a way, and he ended up scoring an empty netter. So for me, we won a championship with him. He was not only the best player in the league, and that year, actually, you know what? That year there was Brad Marchand in the league, Jacob Voracek, and the people thought Marchand was better than him in junior, and but we end up winning, and we beat Marchand's team in the playoff. And although Marchand is a great player as well, no doubt about it, but Claude was not only a good player, the best player, but he was also the leader of our team. He was taking care of the fourth liner, the guy who was he was so good at gathering people and having them playing, being everybody on the same page. So no doubt in my mind, Claude was the best player I've coached in junior hockey. We don't hear you. You're on mute.
Lukas, you're muted.
He's on mute, yeah.
Hang on a second. I've lost internet on one side, so I'll jump to the other screen. Gilles, we'll start with we'll get to you and see who your favorite or the best player you've had a chance to coach with is.
I have a chance to coach a lot of good players, and with my older team, and Rwanda, Philippe Myers, Jérémy Lauzon, A.J. Greer, but a lot of good hockey players. But you know what? One of the good hockey players I coach is another one. It's Philippe Danault with the Montreal Canadiens. Okay, when I was head coach at Midget Triple in Trois-Rivières, I remember him because that kid was unbelievable how he was passionate about the hockey. The way his work ethic on the practice, on the game, every day he's coming at the rink with smiling, and one day I met him one day. I think that's the end of at the beginning of October, maybe middle of October, because he decided to meet me because his ice time was not good enough for him, and the kid had only 15 years old, and he came in my office and Gilles, can I talk with you? Yeah, you know what? I like the team. I like teammates. Is it possible to have more ice time? And finally, I explained to him what he have to do, and after that, I find a way to put him on the power play at the blue line as a D. And he did an unbelievable job. And after that, he was drafted at the first round pick, I think in Victoriaville, second round pick. I don't remember.
First round.
Yeah, maybe the top 5.
First round.
But Philippe Danault was a good example for me. But like I said, I coach a lot of good hockey players in Rwanda with my older team. We won the President Cup in 2016. We almost win the Memorial Cup with that team. So a lot of great memories with that team.
Having some technical difficulties over here. Can you still hear me? Give me a little head nod or something. You can. Okay, cool. Eric, we'll go to you next. Best player or whatnot that you coached at any point in your career?
Well, I feel this is a little bit of a trap question right now, since Ben Groulx is probably sitting beside you. But that being said, you know what? Last year in Halifax, before going to Syracuse, that's probably the season where I've coached the best team, meaning I strongly believe from that hockey team there's going to be the most NHL hockey players that are going to move on and probably have good careers. And obviously they're not there yet. But, you know, if I think of Groulx, Byron, and McKaiser, you know, just to name a few, I really believe there's going to be a few players having great careers from that year. And apart from that, I just can't remember the year. We ended up winning the Memorial Cup. Our captain was Michael Bournival, a guy, obviously a hockey player you guys know. He's probably the player that played, the most in the NHL, but also, you guys probably know all about him. The way he trains, the way he takes care of himself, discipline, work ethic, you name it, all the qualities a hockey player, needs to have success and have a good career. He had them. And you know what? I had him for 4 seasons, had him when he was young, went through a lot with him. And, for me personally, he's a player that, he earned every bit of what he got and what he achieved. And a lot of credit goes to this kid. Well, not anymore. He has kids, but this player.
Yeah, he's a player that Crunch definitely missed last year when he got hurt. I'm sure, Ben, you would agree with that. When he was hurt. Yeah.
No doubt. Like Borny, just the example he sets every day. He's a man of a few words, but you know what? His work ethic speak for itself, and great competitor. And he's a person that we miss every day, no doubt about it.
Joe, we'll finish up with you in terms of players you've had a chance to coach, and who might be on the top of your list.
Well, I don't have quite the experience these other 3 guys have, and but hopefully someday I'll be able to list off NHL first rounders or big time NHL guys like they have. But to date, I would say the current goalie at Cornell is a kid named Mac Alida. He was a junior this year. He was a finalist for the Mike Richter Award, which is the top goaltender in the NCAA. I was lucky enough to coach Matt for his freshman and sophomore year. As a freshman, he basically broke all the record books at Cornell, which has a pretty amazing history of goaltenders between Ken Dryden and David McKee, Ben Scrivens. Those guys were pretty awesome goalies. So he was a kid that we recruited. He's 6 foot at the most on a good day, which is pretty small for goaltender standards now. We knew he was going to be good. Not quite as good as he ended up being, but he was amazingly competitive, and he came every day to get better. So a little bit like what Eric and Ben just kind of touched on. So he's a great kid, and I wasn't surprised to see he have as much success this year as he as he did. And, I'm looking forward to see where he'll end up after his senior year.
Yeah, for sure. And they were having a great year, as you well know. Well, we've already gone an hour, which I think is more than I kind of promised all of you. So I don't know if there's anything we could do this all day, and I would love to. We might have to do it again at some other point. But is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we let you run for the night?
Well, you know what, Lucas? Like everybody's like we're fortunate we all are with our families, and we get to spend those difficult time with our families. For us, the three of us in our country, and Joe with his wife and at his in-laws in Ohio. But I'm sure it's the same thing with those guys. Like we think about the people in Syracuse all the time, and it's a tough time for everybody, and it's not an easy situation. And I think what the Crunch is doing, like those video conference like today, if it can help a little bit to bring some joy to the people, and have them something to do, I think it's great. And we think about them, and hopefully we're going to be able to be everybody together, and hopefully resume the season or later on. But it's Syracuse has been great for me, for my family. It's been great for, I know, all the coaches on this video conference, and we think about Syracuse every day.
Well said, Ben. I don't think we could put it any better than that. So with that, appreciate the time here tonight. You gave us, like you said, a good hour. So this was a fun one, and maybe we'll have a chance to do it again at some point soon, although hopefully we see you all back at the rink before we have to get to that point again. But appreciate you doing this. Stay safe, Ben. Enjoy your movie tonight.
Yes.
Enjoy dinner, whatever else you all have going on tonight and moving forward. And I'm
ready.
sure he's ready. All right. Well, then we'll let you run. We appreciate it again, though, and I'm sure I'll be badgering you all and bothering you all again pretty soon.
Thank you, Lucas, for your time.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us again on another Crunch Chats presented by Burdick Toyota. Sorry for the brief audio delay and problem on my end. I've got an elaborate setup in my one computer, which is connected to my audio, dropped out for a moment in terms of the internet. So I guess, what are you going to do? That's where we are these days, but hopefully the rest of it went well. We could have talked with them for hours. They're very, very entertaining group of coaches there. So who knows if this goes on much longer, we'll maybe get him on again at another point, or break it up into smaller groups or whatnot. But great to have him on again, as always. Another busy stretch coming for the Crunch in terms of what's going on all of our platforms. If you haven't seen already, you can send tweets to the Crunch. Get a goal call from me with the BHG goals, which has been a lot of fun so far, getting a chance to see these youngsters out there in the driveways, their living rooms, wherever it might be, get a chance to get a little goal call from them or for them. So that's been a lot of fun. You can just tweet the Crunch. You can always email me as well, lfavale@syracusecrunch.com if you don't have Twitter, but we'd love you to get in on the conversation on the Twitter side of things. Tomorrow night, hockey returns on Twitch. That's right. The Crunch and the Stockton Heat. First ever matchup between the Crunch and the Heat. That's tomorrow at 7 right here on the Crunch's Twitch. You just come right back to the same link at 7 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be on the call as the Crunch and the Heat play. It's about an hour or so, pretty much the same as here tonight. But tomorrow at 7 o'clock right here on Twitch. Hope you can join us for that. It should be a fun game. Syracuse against Stockton. So that's coming tomorrow. Tomorrow's also the blood drive. Hopefully you had a chance to sign up for that with the Red Cross. If not, you can still donate to the Red Cross. All the information is on the Crunch. NY Hockey Gives Blood is the key words for all of that. Crunch will be donating that meal to Upstate coming up as well, and a whole lot more going on. Have another one of these chats, I'm sure, next week. Guests to be announced at a later date. For us, though, that's it. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks to Ben Groulx, Gilles Bouchard, Eric Veilleux, and Joe Palmer. Have a great night, everybody. We will talk to you again tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, right here on Twitch, The Crunch, and the Stockton Heat.